This is Golden Years, a roadmap to navigate retirement with Mark Cordner, the podcast.
We've been talking about the Fed and these rates forever, Mark, because, it went from, all right, we're going to get 6 cuts. Now we're down to maybe 2. And then some saying there's going to be none at all. Well, here's analyst Kevin Hassett on Fox Business with Maria Bartiromo.
The Fed's not going to be able to cut rates this year, but they're also not high enough. If you look at the inflation data, then the last 3 months are running almost at 5%. And the fact is that the Fed needs to go up from here, not down. And they're kind of in denial about that. The Fed is going to look at the data, and then by June or July, they're going to see they've lost control again.
Don't you think that's going to be a major disappointment for the stock market? Will we see a sell-off in stocks if, in fact, we see a rate hike?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
All right, listen, I understand that rates back in the day in the 80s were, 19, 20, whatever percent. But the fact that he says they're not high enough, Mark, I'm not even kidding. It makes me nauseous because what is he talking about between this and inflation? I mean, I can't even keep up.
Well, I was thinking, wow, I hadn't heard this guy. And I totally agree with what he's saying. That's what I've been saying all along is that, they raised rates to rein back in inflation, and we're still experiencing inflation. And so despite all the happy talk people want to put out there before the election, the truth is things are difficult on the street. You go to the grocery store and everyone knows this. And so I have not expected rates to come down this year. I don't know when they will. I don't know when they're going to go up. I think there's way too much politics in this, but it's a difficult conversation, but we have to look for the silver lining in it. And the silver lining is that there are financial instruments out there that benefit from increased rates. I mean, look at certificates of deposit, for example. We used to call, for the last 20 odd years, the certificates of deposit from the bank, CDs as we call them, CD rates were so low that we called them certificates of disappointment. But now that's not the case. I mean, we're seeing 4 and 5%, which becomes a great place to park money for a while. And many people are very happy with that. I mean, you go back 20, 30 years and people were thrilled to live off of CDs. I'm not saying that's the best approach, but I'm saying that there are instruments like that benefit. And there is an expression on our side of the table that says, when interest rates go down, we refinance our home mortgage. When interest rates go up, we refinance our retirement. And so I say, come on in, come talk to us. If you're concerned about rates going up, let us show you the silver lining in this, because there are vehicles out there that can really improve your retirement scenario, and they are improving significantly. I mean, we're running these reports every month, and we're seeing some pretty significant improvements in the opportunities available for clients. And so, now's the time to meet. I say, let's look at the sunny side of this. There's good and bad to every situation. So let's take the opportunity and maximize it. Let's optimize your situation.
New research shows that people who serve as caregivers for other adults, and it's often their aging parents, they're having more trouble balancing those responsibilities with their full-time jobs. Many end up taking leaves of absence or maybe even a part-time job or just quitting everything altogether. And to make matters worse, they also end up somehow paying over $7,200 a year out of pocket for the help that they provide. And then on top of that, by the way, they should be, or they're trying to actually save for their own retirement. And, believe it or not, I actually have a friend that's been going through this around the same age as myself, had a job, went down to part-time. Now it's not working as she's taking care of both of her parents. And wow. I don't know how she's going to make up for this time lost.
I've seen many people who have not been able to make up for that time lost. And it's heartbreaking, because this, I believe, is the number one social crisis of our time. It's the number one healthcare crisis of our time, and it will become the number one employer crisis of our time. It's becoming that. It's not fully there yet, but this is a major problem. And I mean, this is far bigger of a problem than the COVID pandemic, when you realize that 3 out of 4 Americans are going to need hands-on care in the future. And who's going to provide that? Most people have not been conscious enough of this or prepared financially for it. And so the burden falls upon their family. It falls upon people like your friend. I have a young man that I mentored many years ago. He left college to be able to care for his 2 grandparents, because his own parents were school teachers who couldn't afford to leave work. And so he left college to care for his grandparents. And that was an enormous cost upon him, because when his grandparents passed, he was not able to afford to go back to college. He then came into the insurance industry and focused on long-term care planning, which obviously was a natural thing considering his experience. I ended up being a mentor to him, and long-term care is something that is a number one priority in my discussion with clients because it is the time bomb that blows up retirement plans. And it's stunning that the reports show that less than 11% of advisors out there are even talking about this problem. And it's the number one problem. It doesn't matter what your rate of return on your portfolio is if the portfolio gets destroyed because of long-term care expenses. And so what we're talking about here are the kind of expenses that it's the hands-on custodial care that is not covered by Medicare. Medicare covers skilled medical services, and it does a very good job at that. But the non-skilled, the custodial care, it's the dressing, eating, bathing, toileting, transferring out of bed or out of a chair, these kind of things where because of illness or injury or accident, whatever, we need hands-on help. So yes, families are getting sucked into this at a stage of life where they're trying to adult children are trying to prepare for their own retirement. They're trying to put their kids through college, and often it's the woman, often the oldest daughter, who gets pulled into this caregiving capacity because she has a heart. She loves her parents and feels like she does, in my opinion. We all owe our parents this obligation, this debt of care. It's scary how many people are not addressing it because we don't have the infrastructure to care for our seniors, for lack of a better word, or our older Americans. We don't have the infrastructure in this country to care for them the way they do in other countries. Matter of fact, I met with a couple just a few weeks ago, and they are, he is from the United Kingdom. And matter of fact, there were two couples. There was another one who was from Canada, and they both said to me basically that, this is a key concern for us. We've lived it ourselves, but if that day comes, we're going to move back to Canada or the UK because we know that there will be care for us there. That's not the case here in the United States. And so I always say to people, if you've seen people going through this, if you've given any thought to your own future and you have concerns, come visit with us. We'll show you how to. I call it building a moat around the castle. We all have, I grew up in Europe and you'll visit these castles. There's always a moat, a protective barrier that keeps the invaders from getting to the keep, the treasury. And we teach people how to build a moat around their financial castle. There are strategies that can be put in place to protect your assets and to pay for these kind of expenses so that our adult children can perhaps coordinate the care, but not have to give up their lives, give up their careers, often give up their marriages in order to care for their parents themselves. There's a better way of doing this, and we can show you how to do it.
Investment advisory services offered through Golden Years Financial LLC, a registered investment advisory firm. Insurance is offered through Golden Years Insurance Services. These firms do not provide legal or tax advice. Consult your own legal and tax advisors before taking actions that may have tax implications. Investing in securities involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Insurance contracts' principal protection is based on the claim-paying ability of the respective insurer. None of the information contained on this website shall constitute an offer to sell or solicit to buy a security or insurance product. The information and opinions contained on this site or requested from this site are provided by third parties believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. They are provided for informational purposes only and are not a solicitation to buy or sell any of the products mentioned. Any media logos and or trademarks contained herein are the property of their respective owners, and no endorsement by those owners of Mark Cordner, Golden Years Financial, or Golden Years Insurance is stated or implied.